The search continues for two people, a week after they allegedly went for a dangerous ATV joyride through the city. Good evening. Thunder Bay Police are looking for two suspects after an officer was assaulted and briefly dragged behind an ATV that was being driven erratically through the city last weekend.
The officer wasn't injured. Police are also asking any Northside homeowners who've noticed property damage that could have been caused by the ATV to reach out. Ryan Benazzo has the details.
These images aren't much to go on, but police are asking anyone who recognizes these males, who allegedly went on a dangerous joyride through the heart of the city last weekend, to come forward. Officers were called to the area of High Street and Oliver Road just after 1 a.m. last Saturday after getting calls that the suspects were riding an ATV without helmets. While en route, officers saw the vehicle traveling south on Memorial Avenue, approaching Central. Police tried to stop the ATV in a parking lot, but the suspects sped away, nearly colliding with another vehicle. Police then found them again near Logan Avenue. That's when an officer was punched and briefly dragged after attempting to grab one of the suspects, who got away once again. The ATV is described as a 1990 to 1995 Polaris Trail Boss 350, similar to this one. The male suspects are believed to be between 16 and 20 years old. The driver had a medium to heavy build and was wearing a Boone-style hat with ear flaps and a light brown jacket. The passenger was wearing black clothing with a Vans camouflage backpack. Anyone who lives in the northern to central areas of the city, including near Hammarskjöld, the Boys and Girls Club, Centennial Park, or Strathcona Golf Course, who's noticed any property damage that looks like it may have been made by an ATV, is asked to contact police, as is anyone with information about the incident. Tips can be submitted anonymously through Crime Stoppers. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Police Service has gained a new member of the force.
Trace is a 2-year-old black Labrador who is specially trained to sniff out hidden electronics at various crime scenes. Joe Sadowski explains.
Trace was originally trained to become a service dog, but after being deemed too eager to properly do that, he was transferred to the Electronic Storage Detection Canine course. That's where he was paired with his handler Joel Manhurst and became just the third ESD dog in Canada. Trace is trained to detect triphenyl phosphine oxide, otherwise known as TPPO, a chemical used across all electronics to prevent them from overheating. Manhurst has been a police officer for 25 years, and he explains how his partner sniffs out electronics at a crime scene.
This means that Trace can find hidden cell phones, SIM cards, USBs, air tags. He can detect them whether they are in airtight containers, wrapped in plastic, in a fridge or freezer, or even underwater.
While Trace is fairly new to the force, out of the 5 search warrants he's been deployed to, Trace has been able to find other evidence in hidden electronics that may have been overlooked.
In 4 of those warrants, he found something that we missed. In the 5th warrant, we went down to the basement and there was about 50 to 60 plastic containers down there, and we used Trace to narrow down the search. He identified 7 boxes for us to search, and we found electronics in all of them.
While Trace is considered an officer on duty, he often receives visits from other officers for mental health support and sits in with victims of crime during their interviews with investigators.
I think it's to be celebrated that this team now has another tool and a companion and indeed a bit of a ray of sunshine in an office that sees so much dark.
In only one case did it get a little bit awkward when a little gentleman with unruly hair came in and Trace wouldn't stop licking his face. So that got a little bit awkward, but we got through that.
Joe Sadowski, TBT News.
The band office in North Spirit Lake was destroyed in a fire early Thursday morning. It was one of 2 structure fires in that remote First Nation that night. No injuries have been reported in either fire, according to a Anishinaabe-Aski Police Service spokesperson. Police say they received a call about the band office fire at around 3:30 in the morning and discovered the second fire at a different location while they traveled to the scene. The second structure was an abandoned home. Police say both buildings are now a total loss. The NAPS crime unit is investigating.
It appears Abaton First Nation has beaten a tight timeline to get materials for its temporary school into the community. The First Nation has been transporting the components up the winter road after a devastating fire destroyed its only school. 4 teenagers were arrested after the John C. Yesno Education Center burned to the ground in January. The new temporary school was made possible by a $13 million federal investment. It will support nearly 300 students until a permanent facility can be built. Chief Solomon at Lucan says this progress sets them up well for the upcoming school year.
We're shooting for the temporary school opening up September, so it has to happen immediately. All the logistics have been in place, such as where it's going to go, and the storage, the contractor, all that thing, and all we need is the material now, and we got everything, I think, to begin.
The federal government has estimated a new permanent school can be built and ready to open in about 3 years.
Indigenous Services Minister Patty Hajdu announced millions of dollars today for much-needed housing on First Nations. The funding will go to 9 communities around the Northwest. Hajdu says a total of $15.3 million is coming from the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund. She made the announcement in Long Lake 58, which is receiving the largest amount at $2.6 million. The other recipients are Ireland, Shoal Lake, Wapakeka, Wunnaman, Muskrat Dam, White Sand, Webakwe, and the Red Rock Indian Band. Across the 9 First Nations, the government is projecting more than 200 new housing units will be built in the next 3 years, with more construction being spurred over the next decade.
Thunder Bay City Council will receive a staff update on Monday night regarding the ongoing removal of ash trees around the city. In 2017, the city launched a 10-year program to remove more than 5,000 ash trees on public property around the city. That decision came soon after it was confirmed that the emerald ash borer was here in Thunder Bay. The invasive insect decimates the ash tree population in every community it reaches. The dead trees then become a safety hazard. City Parks Manager Corey Halverson estimates their city crews and hired contractors have removed about a third of the 6,300 local ash trees so far, with hundreds more to come down this year. Council has not received an update on the program since 2021.
Basically giving council an update on the status of the progress and our observations and data collected through our trapping of the insect and impacts to the urban canopy. So just giving council an update to ensure they're aware of where we stand in the program and that we're on track.
The city is trying to save around 850 of the ash trees using a treatment program that's supposed to prevent ash borer infestations. Halverson says the city also has an aggressive program to replant a new species of tree wherever an ash tree is removed.
Those who have never experienced a solar eclipse may feel left in the dark when it comes to preparing for the upcoming celestial event on Monday.
With many kids experiencing the phenomenon for the first time, the Lakehead Region Conservation Authority is ensuring they're well equipped to make the most of the occasion. Haley Perot has the story.
Appreciating nature extends beyond what is on the ground. It is also what's in the sky. This was a key factor as to why the LRCA wanted to host this educational event on Thursday evening in preparation for the partial solar eclipse.
For us at Education at the Lakehead Region Conservation Authority, we want to be connecting people to nature, and we really want people to feel their place in that really big story.
The event started with a presentation from a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada to explain what a solar eclipse is and how to safely use protective glasses to view the event without hurting your eyes. The young participants then let their creativity skyrocket by making crafts including solar-sensitive bead creatures and their own do-it-yourself solar eclipse viewers from cereal boxes. What are you excited for?
To make the craft to look at the eclipse with it.
Yeah, you're making crafts today. Did you bring in a cereal box, or what are you going to make them with?
Cereal box.
That's great.
Cereal boxes, 3 of them.
The event definitely resonated with the youth in attendance, as they really seemed to understand how special this occurrence will be.
We have never seen one, but there are 2 lunar eclipses, which can happen pretty easily, and then there's solar eclipses, which are very rare to happen. Yeah. So we're lucky we get to see one.
A solar eclipse with a magnitude close to as large as the one on Monday from Thunder Bay's viewpoint won't happen for another 5 years. It's these rare occasions that really put our place in the universe into perspective.
I think it's events like this like solar eclipses that remind us that we're on a big ball hanging in space and that there is a three-dimensionality to our universe. And it's really, really magical. And I hope kids get a chance to experience that if they understand some of the science behind it. And the kid in all of us will.
The LRCA and Royal Astronomical officials will be at the gathering at Hillcrest Park for a public event on Monday with the eclipse starting at 2 p.m. Haley Perot, TBT News.
Thunder Bay's annual Spring Home and Garden Show is back once again. The popular event kicked off at the CLE grounds this afternoon and will continue all weekend long. People from around the Thunder Bay area made their way down to the Coliseum and the other buildings at the CLE to check out this year's show. Vice President of Marketing, Judy Anderson, says they're expecting around 5,000 people to come out to the 26th Annual Home and Garden Show. With over 150 vendors this year, there is definitely a lot to see.
You can see right here barbecues and lots of landscaping. This year we have a home display, which we've never had before, which is absolutely beautiful. Lots of outside vendors too that have all the things you need for outside, and there's lots to see and do here. Get you into the spring feeling and into summer, and lots to look forward to.
The event will run all weekend with doors open until 9 o'clock tonight, 10 to 6 tomorrow, and 11 to 4 on Sunday.
Now, Fiona, I was taking a look at that forecast for the weekend. I got some plans, and I got to say, a little boring, uneventful, but in just absolutely the best way.
The best way if you are looking to see the end of that little bit of snow that we did actually get this year. And if you're liking milder temperatures, light winds, no wind chill. Boring is good, folks. Boring can be very good. Today we had an overnight low of -6 and wind chills of about -9 in the early morning hours. But we warmed up to 9 Celsius, which is a few degrees above normal. Not a hot, hot day, but beautiful with loads of sunshine. Winds very light from the northeast, 4 to 17 kilometers per hour. Across the region, we were nothing if not consistent. Overnight lows hit about -5 pretty much across the board, with, of course, the exception of Sault Ste. Marie. They had a low of -2. Ironically, they didn't warm up as much as other locations. They're currently at 5 Celsius. They topped out at 6 with mostly cloudy skies. Everywhere else, lots of sunshine and temperatures ranging from 6 along the North Shore all the way up to 8 in Greenstone, 9 in Armstrong and Sioux Lookout, and in Red Lake, where they had mostly sunny skies for much of the day. It's just been the last couple of hours they're seeing a little bit more cloud cover. Fort Frances, loads of sun with a current temperature of 8. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay, we are going to slip down below the freezing mark once again. No surprise there for this time of year, but without any clouds, there's nothing to hold in any of that daytime heat, and it does dissipate quickly. But you'll notice no wind chill, and that is because the winds are going to be so light, it's not really going to be particularly measurable. And I'm noticing a bit of a happy dance from you guys.
Rocking out a little bit.
We are those like this.
So I'm assuming you're pretty happy with that.
I'm not a big fan of the wind chill usually, so good news on the weather.
That is perfect news on the weather end. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Fiona. Well, when we come back, we'll be turning our attention to New Jersey, where a 4.8 earthquake struck this morning. Now, there's no reports of any injuries, but just a lot of people have been shaken. We'll have those details for you as your Friday News Hour continues.